Thank you, Anne. This is Dr. D'Amico. I'll be starting the meeting today because Dr. Thompson will be joining us just a little bit later. I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's 9 o'clock on 9:01 on March 24th, 2022. Rebecca, would you please do roll call and ensure that we've established a quorum?
Great, Dr. D'Amico, thank you so much. I sure will. So Dr. Thompson is not here yet. We'll call her back in a few. Dr. Greta D'Amico.
Present.
Thank you. Dr. Vera Singleton.
Present.
Dr. Deparshi Mukherjee.
Present.
Dr. Bruce Davidson.
Present.
Dr. Mina Yoon.
Present.
All right, we've got five, so we have quorum. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'd like to now call for public comment on any items not on the agenda. As a note, the committee may not discuss or take action on any matter raised during the public comment section, except to decide whether to place the matter on the agenda of a future meeting. Moderator, would you be kind enough to ask for public comment?
Certainly. So at this time, we are opening public comment through the Q&A feature of WebEx. You will find a question mark icon, typically in the lower right corner of your computer screen, or behind the three dot other options on your, if you're on a mobile device, or you can use *3 to raise your hand if you are a dialing user. And at this point, we do not have members of the public in the meeting, but I will go ahead and let people access that so that we are compliant with our legal requirements. And I do not see any requests for public comment. Shall I go ahead and close that feature?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
All right, so we move on to agenda item 3, legislative update. Do we have a legislative liaison to help us with that?
No, this is Rebecca, and I will be going ahead and providing that update and seeing if you guys want to take action on these. There are 3 bills, AB 2685, which is the Naturopathic Medicine Committee Sunset Bill, SB 994, which is the NDLVN bill, and also, I'm sorry, and this says SB, but it should be AB 1733, which is the Public Meetings Act. So AB 2685 was introduced by the Committee on Business and Professions on February 18th, 2022. This is the committee's sunset review bill. This bill will be used to make any amendments or additions to the current Naturopathic Doctors Act. This bill is in its current state is a placeholder for additional language for the Naturopathic Doctors Act and will change greatly in the weeks to come. Of course, the committee should watch this bill closely as the legislative session advances. This bill is set for hearing in the Assembly BNP Committee on April 26th, 2022. Are there any questions about this bill? And would you guys like to take action, or did you want to hold any possible actions taken until the end of all 3 of these bills?
If no one objects, I think we can do all 3 at the same time.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So SB 994, introduced by Senator Jones on February 14th, 2022. Existing law, the Vocational Nursing Practice Act provides for the licensure and regulation of vocational nurses by the Board of Vocational Nursing and Psychiatric Technicians of the State of California. The Act defines the practice of vocational nursing as the performance of services requiring those technical, manual skills acquired by means of a course in an approved school of vocational nursing or its equivalent, practiced under the direction of a licensed physician or registered professional nurse as defined. This bill would revise that definition to additionally include practice under the direction of a naturopathic doctor. Existing law, among other things, authorizes a licensed vocational nurse to withdraw blood, administer medications, and start and superimpose intravenous fluids as described, when directed by a physician and surgeon. Existing law also authorizes a licensed vocational nurse to perform certain tests and immunization techniques as described when acting under the direction of a physician and surgeon. This bill would authorize a licensed vocational nurse to perform the above described actions when acting under the direction of a naturopathic doctor. It is important to understand that this bill will not broaden the scope of either the naturopathic doctor or the LVN. Although this is sponsored by the Professional Trade Association, it is believed that this bill would provide additional protection for the consumers by allowing NDs to employ healthcare staff at a higher level than that of a naturopathic assistant that is not allowed to do some of the more technical treatments in the ND's office. For this reason, it is the recommendation that the committee provide a supportive stance on this bill. This bill is scheduled for hearing in Senate BMP on 4/18/2022. AB 1733, introduced by Assemblymember Quirk on January 31st, 2022, would make changes to the existing Bagley-Keene Open Meetings Act. With meetings being held remotely during the pandemic, many boards under the DCA noticed a benefit of having meetings conducted on the virtual platform. The waiver of in-person meetings allowed more public access by removing travel barriers for consumers and stakeholders. There were also a noticeable decrease in travel expenses, such as hotel airfare and rental costs for meeting rooms. Due to the benefits of this bill, it is the recommendation that the committee provide a supportive stance on this bill as well. Are there any questions?
Thank you. So we have the option of deciding to take a supportive position on all three of these bills or not. Does anyone want to do anything other than support all three of these bills?
So just really quick, I know that I think we just seen Dr. Thompson arrive as well, so I'll come back and call her, take a roll call really quick. But so AB 2685, which is the Sunset Committee, the committee sunset bill, because there are going to be changes made to that language, I do, and although we would support it, I do recommend a watch stance on this. Just until they have the language, because there may be something that they add that we don't like that we might want to oppose, or that we oppose until it's fixed. So those are just some options, but we would never, of course, oppose our sunset bill to the fact that we are sunsetted.
Okay. Dr. Davidson?
Thanks. Good morning. Yes, I would agree with what Rebecca just suggested.
Great. Do we have a motion to support SB 994 and AB 1733?
I'd like to second that. Thank you.
This
This is
is
Dr. Singleton.
Oh, this is Sabina real quick. The slide on I'm so sorry. The slide on the screen says SB 1733, and I think your motion just said AB.
It is. It was a typo. It should be AB 1733.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I heard a second by Dr. Singleton. Was there a first? Who made the motion?
I don't think we had a chance to do that. I'll make the motion. This is Bruce Davidson. I'll make the motion to indicate support for SB 994 and AB 1733.
Great. And it was seconded by Dr. Singleton.
Yes, that's correct.
Great. Rebecca, would you please ensure that Dr. Thompson is present, and we'll pass the meeting over to her?
Great. Dr. Thompson, are you with us?
And Dr. Thompson, I see that you're unmuted, but we're not hearing your voice. You may wish to use the drop down next to the mute button to adjust which device your computer is trying to hear you from, your microphone settings. And if none of those corrections seem to help, you can always call in from your cell phone for the audio portion and watch the video portion on your computer. And there are additional audio and video settings in the top WebEx menu under audio and video, speaker and microphone settings. And as a point of information, occasionally people who log out and log back into the meeting find their issues resolved. And it looks like she has logged out, and we'll try back. As a point of information, we do have a quorum without her being present.
Yeah, so let's clarify that we are taking a position of watch on AB 2685 for now. Do we need to vote on that?
Yes.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
This is Dr. Singleton. I'd like to make a motion to support the watch stance on AB 2685.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And this is Dr. Amina Yoon, and I'll second it.
Thank you.
Great. I'll go ahead and take a roll call vote. All right. Dr. Thompson? Okay. Looks like she's still not there. Okay. Dr. Greta D'Amico?
Yes. Yay.
Dr. Vera Singleton?
Yes, I support it.
Dr. Deparshi Mukherjee?
Yay.
Dr. Bruce Davidson?
Aye.
And Dr. Mina Yoon?
Aye.
Great, thank you. So we've got 5, and that motion moves to watch.
Caught me unawares there. Was it yay, aye, yes?
We'll accept them all. So,
All right. So
Okay.
we just invite Dr. Thompson to interrupt as soon as she's able to make a connection.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Yay.
Welcome.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I had to switch computers, technology. I can't
All right.
keep track of it all.
Thank you.
I think Rebecca has confirmed Dr. Thompson's presence.
Yes.
And Dr. Thompson, you take it from here. We're on number 4.
Thank you so much.
Actually, I still need to do a roll call vote for 3B and C, which is SB 994 and AB 1733. We have a motion by Davidson to support and a second by Singleton. So I'd like to go ahead and take a roll call vote for that.
Sorry to interrupt, this is Sabina. We should probably do public comment before we take our vote.
Okay, sure.
Thanks.
Thank you. And this is the moderator. We are opening up the Q&A feature to facilitate public comment on the motion. I do not see any participants in the audience, but we did want to be thorough and check for public comment and offer that option. So at this point, since there are no members of the public in attendance, I'll go ahead and close that option. Thank you for your indulgence.
All right. So Dr. Dara Thompson,
Aye.
Dr. D'Amico,
Aye.
Dr. Singleton,
Aye.
Dr. Mukherjee,
Aye.
Dr. Davidson,
Aye.
and Dr. Yoon.
Aye.
Great, thank you. And that motion also moves to support a SB 994 and AB 1733.
All right. Then do we need to ask for a public comment on this portion as well before we move to agenda item 4, Sabina?
No, you just took public comment on your motions for your positions on these bills, so you are okay to go ahead and move on to agenda item 4.
Great. So we're moving on to agenda item 4, which is the approval of the final responses to our sunset review background paper issues. I know everyone got a copy of that. Hopefully we're all able to read through them in detail. So at this point, I just want to ask for any comments or concerns by the members of the committee.
This is Rebecca. I would like to actually share my screen. We had a few edits, and I want to just go ahead and put them up here so that you guys can see what were made. Looks
Great.
like Dr. D'Amico had a couple of edits for us, so I have that. And I also see that Bruce Davidson has his hand up.
And Rebecca, you do have presenter privileges if you would like to share your screen.
Great, thank you so much.
This is Bruce. I'll wait until I see what you're going to present.
Perfect.
Wonderful. All right, can everybody see the agenda item 4 up on the screen?
It is a bit
visible.
small.
Okay, I'm going to make it larger.
Thank you.
Okay, there you go. All right,
Much
so
better.
there were only a couple of small edits on here that Dr. D'Amico was gracious enough to go over last night and send these to me. So I made these early this morning, and I just want to have them on here for you. So just give me one moment. Okay, so here we just took out a second type that was in here. The word type was deleted. And that was under, I'm sorry, that was under our committee response for, I believe it was a fictitious name permit. So issue number 8. There was also a change under, I believe it was enforcement. So under enforcement issues, title protection, we added an apostrophe in individuals. We added a couple of S's, and this was from work to words. And I believe that there was one other one. Let's see. I believe it was under technical changes. Okay, under technical cleanup, we just deleted a comma that was in there. And I believe that was it. Those were the only changes that we had. Now, these, just so you guys are aware, these are the responses that everybody provided back to us earlier this month, and this is what we actually used. Dr. Thompson and I used at the sunset hearing. So just so you know that these responses were already vetted once, and so this was just a little bit of cleanup that we had going on. Were there any questions or changes to this?
Dr. Davidson, did that address your questions?
Thanks. Actually, yes, you already corrected what I had noted in my review late last night. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. Did anybody want to take a motion on approving the responses to the sunset review background paper as submitted, or I'm sorry, with the amendments that were made?
I do see a raised hand from a call-in number. I'm not certain who this is.
I believe
Hi,
that would
this
be
is Dr.
Dr. Yoon.
Mina Yoon.
Hi, Dr. Yoon.
Sorry.
What would you like to say?
Yeah. I just have a quick question regarding the NSEC question. Our suggestion and our response is that all new graduates have the parenteral and the formulary NSEC additional examination. Are you stating that just new graduates and not new licensees that come from other states, or is that something that's going to be more specified in a future regulation?
Yeah, I think that would be something that we would need to kind of work on language-wise, but it would be for new graduates or new licensees, new applicants coming into our state. People that are already licensed here would be grandfathered normally when they do changes like this, in an act. But there would be some things that we would probably need to do in regulations if they don't include it in statute. That would be correct.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
In that case, I will move to, am I moving to accept the regulations of the Naturopathic Medicine Profession Summary?
With the amendments? Okay, great. And do we have a second?
I will second. This is Bruce.
Great. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment. Maybe. Let's see if I can do that. Stop sharing. Big orange button. There we go. All right. I'm going to go ahead and take roll call vote for this. Dr. Thompson?
Do we need a public comment?
Sorry, public comment. Thank you.
And this is the moderator, and we are moving to the public comment, although at this point, again, there are no members of the public in the audience, but we do want to go ahead and be legally compliant. So if you did have a public comment, you could open up the Q&A feature, which is the question mark icon. If you're on a mobile device, it is behind the 3-dot other options. Type the word comment and send. And I do not see any requests for public comment at this time. I'll go ahead and close that option.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Rebecca, can you do a roll call now?
Absolutely. Dr. Thompson?
Aye.
Dr. D'Amico?
Aye.
Dr. Singleton? Dr. Mukherjee?
Aye.
Dr. Davidson?
Aye.
And Dr. Yoon?
Aye.
Great. We've got 6 ayes, and that motion moves with the amendments. Thank you.
Great. So at this point, we are going to move on to agenda item number 5, which is approval of past meeting minutes.
Great. All right. And I also have a couple of edits on this, so I'd like to share my screen again. Right. Okay. So we've got a couple of edits here as well, starting on page 3. And let me just make this bigger so you guys can see it. There we go. All right. Can everybody see this okay? All right. Okay, so we had a couple of changes here, just specified coursework by a provider approved by the committee. Due to an adverse IV therapy event. So that was just a small change there. In early 2020, we just took out the capital E that was there. And we took out the word to. And I think there was only a couple of other ones. Under agenda item 6, there was a comma that was removed. Actually, 2 commas that were removed. And I'm very sorry about this, but I made a boo-boo. So under agenda item number 6, the minor office procedures, I had here I had Dr. Mina Yoon, and it was actually Dr. Greta D'Amico. I was just typing and going too fast. So my apologies for that.
Yes,
So
I was going to correct you on that.
Thank you so much. So that was
not to like, yeah, not to take away the fact that I wouldn't volunteer, but I didn't volunteer here.
No, thank you so much. So that's great that that was pointed out to me. So thank you so much. And then I think let me see, was there anything else? Oh, and a couple of just changes to the committee were and then how to plan for the endemic. So I know that somebody said, well, do you mean pandemic? But actually we mean the end of the pandemic. So they're calling it the endemic. So we went ahead and made that change there. And just a couple of minor, instead of explaining, she explained. Took out a couple of commas and periods here. And so that was it.
Rebecca, under the subcommittee members,
Uh-huh.
there's Shirley Whirls is still listed, and I should be listed instead.
Okay, hold on. Let's see here. And which one was this for?
The IV subcommittee,
Okay, hang on. Let me take a look at this really quick.
I believe it's section 6.
Okay. And this was for the IV therapy?
Yeah, the IV subcommittee. It's earlier on in the meeting minutes.
Okay, so I will go ahead and take Worrells out. We'll go ahead and add Singleton in there. So I will make that change right now. Let me just go up really quick. Page 4. Okay. And all right, there we go. So I went ahead and made those changes. Were there any other changes other than the amendments that were already made? Okay.
Dr. D'Amico, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of March 8th, 2022 with the discussed changes.
Dr. Thompson, I'd like to second that. Rebecca, do you want to, oh, sorry.
Public comment?
I'll call for public comment. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we are opening up the Q&A feature of WebEx to facilitate public comment. At this time, we do not have any members of the public in the attendance, but we are doing this to comply with our requirements. If anyone had a public comment, they would type the word comment into the Q&A text box and click send. And we do not see any requests for public comment. Shall I close that feature?
Please do.
Thank you.
Okay, I will go ahead and take a roll call vote. And this is to approve the 3/8/2022 committee meetings with the amendments. Dr. Thompson,
Aye.
Dr. D'Amico,
Aye.
Dr. Singleton,
Aye.
Dr. Mukherjee,
Aye.
Dr. Davidson,
Aye.
and Dr. Yoon.
Aye.
Great, and that motion also moves with 6 ayes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to move on to agenda item number 6, which is future agenda items and meeting dates. So, Rebecca, where are we at with scheduling the meetings? You had reached out with some concerns about meeting times and potentially having to change one. Can you fill us in on that?
Sure. So, going back to the budget, if you guys remember during our last meeting that we are extremely close in our bottom line budget numbers. And so at the time, I think we were only somewhere between 1,200 and 1,500 left in our budget, and that was not including all of the extra meetings that we had to schedule this year. Normally, we only have 3 or 4 meetings a year, and this year we've had to have a couple more just because of the hearings for Sunset. So because of this, and because we are going to be seeing a couple of new members being placed on our committee, we are going to be paying more for these meetings instead of just, the $500 or $600 once we are fully appointed, or I'm sorry, fully staffed on our appointments. Then these will cost around $900 just for the per diem. So I'm really concerned that if we have to have another meeting prior to sunset, that we may blow our budget. So I'm trying to really tend some of these meetings that maybe we can start back up in July 1st to July, so that we don't blow our budget. If anybody has any concerns with that, let me know, but we just don't have any other line items that we can pull that money from. So we do have to be very careful of what we're spending right now.
So, Rebecca, are there specific things that we need to address as a committee? I know we have subcommittee work to do, but are there specific things we need to address as a committee prior to July 1st, which is when the fiscal year resets, correct?
That is correct, yes. There are things that subcommittees can do if they're only working in teams of 2, but that's going to be a little bit difficult to do since they're not able to meet to decide what those ad hoc type duties would be. This is a really delicate situation, so I apologize. I do see that Dr. D'Amico has her hand raised.
Yes, in situations like this with the Department of Consumer Affairs and so forth, is it okay, advisable, unadvisable to possibly meet with a skeleton crew, which would be 5 people, to save money if we have the need to do something before July?
Technically, yes, we could have just the quorum show up, so we could take a volunteer of 5 members to make sure that we have this. I would hate to do that because when we bring our full team together, it's nice to have the full team putting their 2 cents in and providing that that feedback that's so crucial. But in times like this where we just don't have any options, we may have to do that. So what I would recommend at this time is just to go ahead and provide me with agenda items for future meetings so that we can still get that stuff put onto our schedule. And I'm, day 1, so July 1st, we can actually have that meeting on July 1st if you guys so choose to do that. And then, of course, reconvene those subcommittees as well. And Dr. Yoon and I were speaking after our last meeting, and it looks like we had a couple of items that were still not completed on the formulary side. So the RX, the prescribing and formulary subcommittee will need to reconvene once again as well, just to finalize the lists that they were reviewing at the time. So those are a couple things that we need to do. I do see that Sabina has her hand raised. Sabina?
I wasn't quite done. This is Dr. D'Amico.
Okay.
I have a suggestion, and Sabina could weigh in on this as well, that if we do have a need to meet before July 1st, perhaps Rebecca, you could send out an email with the details and we can send you any feedback we have. And if it appears to be fairly unanimous and we're all aligned, then perhaps the committee would be comfortable with just choosing 5 representatives to, go through the motions of the meeting to be compliant. And then, of course, if we are very different in our opinions, then we would, go ahead and need to have the full meeting. What do you think about that?
This is Sabina. Can I interject in here for a moment?
Please.
Thank you. So I just want to redirect us back to our agenda item. We need to move forward with just either, if we don't want to look at meeting dates right now for under this agenda item, that is totally okay. I know that Rebecca's really great at sending out doodle polls, and she actually has inspired me to use doodle in my private life too. So she is great about scheduling things like that. So if we don't want to decide on any kind of future meeting dates today, that's okay. And that can be done offline, and Rebecca can certainly take care of it that way. But I want to make sure we stay on our agenda, and Rebecca can work on the logistics, offline and in the background. And there may not be a need to meet anyway before July 1st. But we can't possibly figure that out right now. And we just need to compile our future agenda items. And as a reminder to all our board members, including our new ones, if you think of other potential agenda items after a meeting or in between meetings, you can always shoot Rebecca an email. I just don't want you to feel like this is the only opportunity for you to bring up potential future agenda items. I'm not sure, just as a reminder to our seasoned members as well as our new members.
Great, thank you.
Hi, it's Dr. Thompson. So it sounds like we should schedule a meeting for early July. And I just want to clarify with Rebecca, is there a reason the subcommittees cannot meet prior to that?
Because we don't have the money.
So we would have to pay the subcommittee members.
Yes, we do
Also,
pay the
they
subcommittee
meet.
members.
Got it. So
Yep.
basically, no money for any meetings before July 1st.
We have to leave a tiny bit of bumper there just in case we have to meet again before sunset hearings.
That was my concern. So
Yep.
I just want to make sure that that it isn't going to inhibit sunset in any way.
That is correct. And that's why we're kind of pending everything else.
So if we don't schedule a meeting before July 1st right now for general items, we still would have enough budget for a meeting regarding sunset issues if needed.
That is correct, yes.
Great. Should we set the July meeting date then?
We sure can.
Looking at the July calendar, it appears that the 1st is a Friday. The following week, Monday is the 4th. So we aren't meeting then. We have Tuesday the 5th, Wednesday the 6th, Thursday the 7th. I don't know. Sometimes people are on vacation for the 4th of July, so the 5th is probably a bad choice. What about Thursday the 7th? Does anyone have any conflicts on that day?
Nope, I'm free.
Hi, this is Dr. Meeting Are we in the assumption that because Corp's bill hasn't been passed that we're going to meet in person?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, then I most likely will not be here that week.
Okay.
The following week I could probably do.
Okay, why don't we do this then? Just because it may be a mixed meeting, and we can also provide options for that. Why don't we go ahead and send out a doodle poll then, if you guys are okay with that, so that just as a reminder, Sabina is covering our meeting today, but Michael Connotes, who is now taking over as our legal, he's not on today, and so he can't check his calendar. So I think it would just be better to not waste any time looking for things that we may have free if he may not. So why don't I go ahead and send out a doodle poll for that, the last couple of days on the week of the 4th, and then of course the week of the 11th and the 18th. And then, depending on when everybody is available, we'll go ahead and schedule for that. And then I'll also provide you guys the options of how we can do in person or If you would like to do a call-in, you can. You just have to, depending on AB 1733 and if it goes through or not, then you would have to do a couple of things like posting where you're going to be and that type of thing. So let's go ahead and do that if you guys are okay with that.
Thank you, Rebecca. That sounds great.
Great. Any agenda items? Of course, I will be doing a sunset review update at that point. Hopefully by then we will have known kind of what's happening with that, and you will be able to update there.
And we have future agenda items from our last minutes we can just carry over.
That is correct, yes. Okay, well then I will go ahead and schedule, I'll send out the doodle polls for those items. I'll also send out doodle polls for the 3 subcommittees, just to get those put on the books for the once July 1st gets here. And then we'll just leave it open in case there's any meeting that we have to have prior to July 1st.
Great. Is this an item that we need to ask for public comment on?
Future agenda items, you absolutely can ask for public comment.
And this is the moderator, and we've opened up the Q&A feature, although we still do not have any members of the public in attendance. But if we did and they had a suggestion for future agenda item, you would click on the question mark icon and then type the word comment into the text box and click send. And since we have not gotten any requests, we can close that feature if you'd like.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wonderful. I think that concludes all of our business. I really appreciate everyone taking time out of their busy morning to join us. At this point, I am adjourning the March 24th, 2022 full committee at 4:43 a.m. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. You too, guys.